We respectfully request the Sangha great virtue for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội khắp nhất thiết chúng sanh, tình chuyên diệu pháp luân giáo đạo ngã môn, như hạ liều sanh thoát từ ly khu đạt lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Tabo saranto sucedo ye alahari sanmyao sanputo ye. Namo tak tak ta toya daya alahade tamil tambo da toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai qian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jie wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Sutra, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good knowing advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、智者大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位上智师、Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Chí Gia Đại sư Thượng Tiến Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị sinh thứ thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 7th of September 2024. We are here at Lu Mountain Temple to continue discussing the Vimalakirti Sutra. We are on slide 112, and thank you all for coming. We are in the beginning part of chapter 1 of the sutra, that introduction part, where it is right now describing the state of the Bodhisattvas. Okay, so it's a kind of insightful to see what you're going to all become, including Daniel, believe it or not. He may be protesting right now, but one day he will come and say, oh, I'm in love with the Buddha. It's coming. I guarantee you. I would bet on it. Okay, so 112. These bodhisattvas transcended all coverings and fetters. Buddhist concepts. These is manifestations of wisdom. When you have wisdom, then you have transcended all coverings and fetters. Okay, so there are 5 coverings and 10 fetters that are transcended. Okay, meaning that all delusions within and beyond the realms are eradicated, And there are no other factors that give rise to delusion. So, in other words, our delusion is due to the existence of the 5 coverings and the 10 fetters. Okay? And I'm not sure, you don't want to go into this because it's humiliating. Okay? Let's move on. Okay? No complaint? You ate too much for lunch. Okay, let's go back. What are the 5 coverings? Coverings is a Buddhist jargon. It says the 5 kinds of afflictions that prevent the goodness from arising in your heart. This morning I talked to you. I gave you a very stern warning, all of you a stern warning, looking back the last 19 years or so of teaching. Okay, I warned people that for you to continue to improve and get better and better, there's only one fundamental requirement. That is, your heart has to be gooder and gooder and gooder. There's no other substitute. Okay, and again, I said those who had to run away is because all their subterfuges, all their pretenses caught up with them, and they have nowhere to hide anymore. Okay, so they had to run away, and they cannot find the goodness in their heart to continue. Okay, it's a very strong statement. This is what Mahayana is about. So don't feel bad for them. Don't blame yourself. Don't say that, that guy ran away because of me and so forth. I was mean to him. No, you're just being yourself. Eventually, you don't stop being mean, you run away through yourself. Too soon? I thought I'd shake you up. Never mind. What are the 5 coverings? These are 5 kinds of afflictions. Number 1, greed and desire. We live in a world of greed. Greed is good. Greed is Wall Street. Yeah? Okay. So it turns out it's not a good thing for you. Greed and desire are the 2 kinds of afflictions that if you nurture them, you will not be able to do good. How is that? To be blunt. Okay? The more greed you have, the more desire you have, the more difficult it is for you to do good. Think about it. Number 2, what kind of afflictions? Kind of afflictions, anger, hatred. Anyone would like to say anything? If you have a lot of anger in your heart, you cannot do good. Okay? Because when you're angry, you feel justified in harming others. There's nothing good about harming others. Nothing. Okay? And so that's why in our world, Master YongHua taught us the 6 principles. First principle is no fighting. Yeah? And I modified it for you. No fighting is for low-level people. For you who have skills, who've been around longer, I stress to you that no harming. Okay? Even when you feel justified in your heart in harming others, stop it. Because you are not a good person. Doesn't matter how right you are, how wrong they are, it's irrelevant. Deep down, if you harm others, you're not a good person. Doesn't matter how wrong they are, how evil they are. Okay? Donald has a right. He deserves to live. Oh, that's a joke. Never mind. Yes, Republican. See, see his natural reaction. Wait a minute. Yes, sir.
Master,
reveal your true colors.
No, I'm not Jung Master. Although I like Jung very much.
He's gonna vote for Trump. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Master, you taught that to combat anger, we should practice compassion. But what does that mean practically? Because even if I say, take a loss and let's say be the first to be last, that's an action. In my understanding, compassion is an understanding, a feeling of what other human beings, their suffering is. How do I practice that in general?
In general?
Okay, forget the word in general.
Go ahead, MJ. Consider it like talking to someone sitting on your couch. What is his compassion here? How does it help quell the anger in his heart?
It comes from within. It comes from within. It comes from a place inside of us that softens towards others and sees that we're all connected, and that when you harm others, you harm yourself.
Hallelujah. Yes, my God.
Master, sometimes I feel like I have a problem when other people are suffering to feel empathetic towards them.
Yeah, you have a problem that you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't give a darn.
Sometimes, yeah. I said, you're. Why are you suffering? Like, I don't get it sometimes.
Yeah.
But then I suffer too, and then I see people don't do that to me, and it hurts. But how do I bring out the, feeling other people suffering?
I get his point. You see, have you ever happened to you when someone says, "I'm suffering so much"? Have some pity, have some compassion, and I look at myself, but I'm suffering more than you. How can I possibly have any compassion for you? You should have compassion for me.
No, that's not quite what I mean. I mean, like, so let's say someone's talking to me and they're so upset and whatever. I'm like, okay. I mean, you sound kind of stupid right now.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Why are you why are you mad? Like, I'm trying to understand here. But then I'll sometimes I'll be upset. Like, I mean, I won't. During that situation, when I'm listening to someone else, I'll be like pretty calm, whatever, like normal. But I'll have trouble kind of feeling like there's some people who are naturally really like empathetic and can kind of console someone when they're not feeling good. I can't really do that. But then when I feel bad, right, and then I'll tell someone about that, and they give me the same sort of response.
I know where they're coming from. I really have a hard time having any compassion for you too, either.
Yeah, I do too. But I'm asking you, how do I feel compassion for someone?
Yeah, it's so stupid, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Red.
Emitofuo speaking.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Andrea, I'm totally with you. I know what you're talking about. That happened to me, and I fought in and out of that myself, And my experience, over the experience, I finding that it's sort of like an energy or whatever that's kind of making it happen. Because it would, for me, over the long period of cultivation, at some point, I got to a point where it just, the anger, whatever that is, it just doesn't happen. That's through the master's difficult program. You suffer through it. And then
speak for yourself. I mean,
and then
leave me out of it.
And then one day, suddenly, the magic just happened. That's the master's program, master's grade program. And then the other aspect of it, there are people who's naturally kind of like Daniel, or like there's another aspect also. I personally went through that.
This is not helping.
I knew somebody personally. Every day I went home, I was the only one being yelled at, and I'm like, why me? Just because I stay home, I got yelled, I got blamed for everything, not any other person in the house. But one day, I found out, maybe the time has come with the Buddhism and things like that. One day she just said to me, she said, I have all this anger and all this stress. If I don't yell at you and I don't throw it on you, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And after she told me that, trust me, I turned the other way. I just felt bad for her. Every time she yelled at me, it didn't hit anymore. It doesn't bug me. I just felt bad. And that's how it changed from the first time.
There's something in
external.
there, I admit.
Thank you.
She's got a point. It's hard to see, but she's got a point. Very good. Good contribution. Anyone else? Control yourself. Yes, ma'am. MJ.
Yeah, I wanted to add to what Apple is saying. Master, I remember you telling us one time that when people are taking out their anger on you, you should just bear it because it's helping them. It's releasing, helping them release. And it helped me see my work differently because all day long people are yelling and screaming. and you know, I used to feel really like very on guard with that and needing to protect myself and wanting to hang up on them. And
I know what you're talking about.
And now I just see it as service.
You got that? You got the point? Yes, sir, Catholic.
When I was kind of younger, maybe in my teens, when people would used to tell me the problems, I'm like, that's not a big deal. What's the point of you telling me that?
Hey, dude.
It's like, just get over it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get it about their suffering because for me it was like nothing. Like, oh yeah, your girlfriend left you, just get another one.
Find another one.
And I kept that mentality all the way to probably after high school, and then I went to college. And after there was a class about drug addictions, and I got into that class for whatever reason. And I kind of understand, I was beginning to understand about suffering of others. And then with the help of the Catholic Church, I also saw about suffering, things like that. But for me, a lot of things were not really suffering. Then after that, I went to a program that they put me into internships where I really saw suffering on people, and that kind of like got me to like, oh, I want to help people. And into now I'm in a job position that allows me to help people somewhat. So, and now I see a lot of suffering. But for me, I still remember when I was in high school, middle school, and all these things, I was like, dude, just get over it.
Yeah, dude, come on.
But now I understand more about attachments and things like that. So.
And I'm glad you spoke up. Because, Daniel, it's something you still don't understand after all these years of coming here. Okay? It's cause and effect. Okay? Let me explain to you. Remember the younger days when someone came to you, your friend came to you and said, you know, my girlfriend just dumped me. And you say, what's the big deal, man? Hey, man. Now it's happening to you. Okay, so good point. So here's what happened. I mean, this guy keep on stirring up the pot, and it's still no real solution. Okay, what it's talking about when the Buddhist solution is when you have anger. The way to deal with your anger is compassion. Okay? Actually, it means great compassion. Not just compassion, but great compassion. Okay? And so what does it mean? Okay. When you're angry, okay, that or everything about you, everything that you experience is all driven by you, your ego. It says it feels so justified in getting angry at someone else. Yeah? That's how anger arises. Because your ego says, you see how wrong they are, how unfair it is, all the thing is someone else's fault. And therefore, your mind races to find excuses after excuses, reason after reasons to justify your anger. Because you dwell on it. You dwell on yourself. And you dwell on your own suffering. This is what you're doing to yourself. You're adding fuel to your anger fire. Agree or disagree? This is what happens to you internally. Okay? And every time we get angry, we feel our mind is so astute at coming up with reason after reason to justify our anger. Okay? So the antidote in Buddhism is great compassion. Great compassion means that get away from your mind. Stop thinking about it. Okay? Instead of looking at yourself, look at the person you're angry at. Okay? And when you look at the suffering that he or she is undergoing. That's why she did the thing that provoked your anger. It's so fundamental is that instead of dwelling on your anger, you should dwell on the suffering of others that compel them to provoke your anger. And if you look at the nature of what really compels them to behave a certain way to provoke your anger, to make you angry, then you see actually it's based on suffering. They're suffering a lot. That's why they're doing that. That's why they're provoking your anger. That's why they're making you so angry. It's because they're suffering so much. It's an exercise. Yeah, of course not. When you hear these words, the first reaction for ordinary people is, this doesn't make sense. This is nonsense. But this is, if you follow the instruction, if you do what you're told, and instead of dwelling in yourself, but look at that person, okay, and look for try to understand the kind of suffering that compels them to make you suffer. you see that they really are suffering a lot more than you realize. Okay? So at first you struggle. If you're not experienced, okay, you will suffer, you will struggle. But as your skill becomes higher, when you're more suffering, the more wisdom you have, the more suffering you endure, you get better and better at it, and then you'll naturally see the nature of people suffering a lot faster than you realize. That's how you diffuse your anger much more effectively than trying to unleash it. People, when they get angry, they release anger, okay, by directing it, by acting upon the anger. That's the natural way release of the anger. In Buddhism, okay, we don't do that, okay, because when you do that, you will regret it later, seriously. Nothing good comes out of it. On the other hand, you should look at the nature of the suffering of your opponent. Yes, your proponent. Yes, red.
Thank you, Master. It really hits home with me because I'm dealing with a lot of people in regards to my mom. We have a large family, and I don't know if in other cultures they do this, but my mom's the matriarch of our clan. And there are a lot of people that expect to get something someday when my mom passes away. And
you don't?
Well, these are people who really, they're just, how do I describe them? Leeches?
I have faced it every day myself.
It's really hard. It's really hard because if I look at their suffering, I get it. Okay, yeah, they're suffering. Okay. But then in the final analysis, okay, I see that they're suffering like a whole systemic thing starting from who their parents were and then how they were taught and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And,
so you've been doing the exercise. It didn't help.
No. No, but the thing is, it does help, but then in the final analysis, someday, when there comes a time where I know these people, they get in line and they're going to expect something. They're going to expect something from my mom or from whatever there is after she passes. They're just going to expect it. And that doesn't mean, okay, I can see what their suffering is, but that doesn't mean, okay, now I'm supposed to give you something. Because I feel, I realize you're suffering, because you're suffering about something else more than that.
Were you angry? Wait a minute. Let's back up a little. Were you angry and look at those people? You weren't really angry. That's why it worked a little bit. We're talking about anger here, my friend. Okay? When you're angry, the antidote is to use compassion. Look at others suffering.
I'm thinking of one in particular, it does make me angry. One in particular that I feel I'm angry because of the way they took advantage of my father, my mother.
Yeah.
And that makes me angry.
Makes you angry?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. It still doesn't help.
I don't like them.
You don't like them?
So okay.
It doesn't always work. I don't like a lot of people too.
I'll do my best to, see their suffering, but that doesn't mean, okay, what am I supposed to do about that?
97%. And we're looking at percentages.
Okay.
It doesn't always work. Okay? Sometimes it's too strong. We're not saying it's 100%. It's saying that it's only because we lack wisdom. We cannot see the real suffering yet. That's why it doesn't work. Not because that the Dharma doesn't work, because you fail to see their suffering. Okay? You haven't dug deep enough to see to understand their suffering. Yes, yellow. Yellow.
Can you hear me? Okay. Following in the same direction that you're explaining how to quell anger, personally, I think I can do and usually do a pretty good job of noticing when anger arises with me, and I can quell it. I can get it so it's not going to upset me. It's not going to be a problem, and so I've accomplished that. But I wanted to ask also. What bothers me is somebody confronting you and maybe chewing you out or saying hurtful things. Well, to me, I can feel humiliated.
Yes.
And it's like a little, I dwelled back when I was 4 years old, and I must have gotten chewed out in front of all the classmates, and they laughed at me, something like that. I don't know. But I still carry that with me.
Yeah.
And I feel it when it sometimes arises, and I know I shouldn't, but I just don't quite have the tool to quell that sensitive humiliation. Do you have any suggestions?
Would you call that MJ that PTSD?
Well, she listened.
Yeah, very early, very young age, he got PTSD already. That's the good thing about it. G.I. Joe is they help you survive the G.I. Joe job. Okay.
Thank you.
Some of us get traumatized by these experiences, and actually, that's the way it is. Okay. Regardless, okay, let me assure you that Dharma of quelling your anger by using great compassion works extremely well. If it doesn't work for you, it's only because you don't have enough compassion yet. That's what's beautiful about it. Have no doubt, please. Okay? Because let me assure you, I joke around a lot because it's not a big deal, okay? I just speak nonsense anyway. But let me assure you that if you fail to see the suffering in them, it's because your wisdom is inadequate. Therefore, you should be so grateful to that person and say, you just showed me, reminded me that my wisdom is still not there yet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because trust me, it works very, very well. If you could only see their suffering, your anger will just dissipate, just like that. Because you're able to do that, folks. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you're able to see that someone is really suffering, you cannot possibly bring yourself to be angry anymore. It's just common sense. Have you thought about it? It's so beautiful. If they're suffering so much already, how can you possibly add more to their suffering? Because your angry adds more to the suffering. Your anger adds more to the suffering. This gives them no relief whatsoever. No? Doesn't work for you? This is the principle behind it. You, deep in your heart, is capable of this goodness here. It says, I don't want to hurt you. Deep in you. There's this part, deep inside your heart. I know you can't find it now, but but it's there, trust me. If you can just go deep enough, you find it so hard to hurt someone when you're angry. It doesn't matter whether it's your husband, whether it's your child, whether it's your colleague, whether it's a stranger, same thing. If you could only see how much they're suffering, you will not want to add to it. All your anger goes away. It is extremely effective. Does it help? This is not an intellectual exercise, folks. What I'm asking you is for you to draw upon your wisdom nature. It says, this person's hurting. Where is he hurting? Where is she hurting that I can't see yet? If you do that, you will naturally reduce your anger. And the longer, the deeper you look, the more your anger will dissipate. That's the antidote, folks. It's the most effective antidote. If you did anything else, you still have the seed of anger. It's still there. And the next time it grows a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger because it's still not resolved. It's not logical. It doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to be, you gain nothing out of it. But it's your wisdom nature that's able to forgive and forget. No? Okay. Very good. Good discussion. Number 3, affliction, sloth, and torpor. Okay? Sloth is when this is something that usually affects more women than men. Okay. Huân, hôn. Vietnam is hôn. Hôn is kissing. Only Vietnam woman who finds it funny. The other Vietnam people are so serious. Oh. It's Vietnam joke. Vietnamese has words that have the same sound, but it has different meanings. Okay, so that's why the real sound here, meaning of the sound here, is actually you are in a state of like confusion, unclarity of the head, but it sounds the same as kissing. And that's what happens to you when you kiss. Vietnam is very profound, let me tell you, girls. Ask Vietnam men, true or not? Vietnamese American, that doesn't count. Okay, forget it. Okay. So the point being that huân miễn is huân here is you're in a state of unclarity. Okay? And miễn is sleepy. So you're in that state right there where you're so unclear and you really can't quite function yet. Okay? And so that's why it's translated as sloth and torpor. Okay? You find yourself in that state, and you could equate it like he said, you okay, Xin Xin? That's the example right there. Thank you very much. Okay? Then it's an affliction. Okay? You definitely want to do something to get out of it. Okay? Recognize it. Yeah. Yes, Vietnam people in the back. Okay, Ahong, go ahead.
Master, does it mean this is sloth and torpor is like you're in the la la land? How do you get out of it?
You need to recognize when you are in that state, and then you need to take countermeasures, such as getting up, spray your face with water, pinch your ears, take a pin and stick it in your thumb, that kind of thing. No, okay, she disagrees. Yeah, that's too brutal. Yeah. Yes, Mary Jo.
I have a lot of patients that are depressed. And
Depressed?
yes, depressed. And they won't get out of bed. They're in a fog. So I tell them to get up and run cold water over their wrists and hands, and it helps.
Cold water, on their breast?
On their wrists.
Oh, their wrist. I heard breast.
That might work too.
Daniel, control yourself. So you spray it on. Okay. That's okay. Okay. So you spray on the wrist. It really works. I never tried it. Really?
So what happens is a lot of people
Okay.
who are
The spitting work?
not as well. The thinking, they're thinking and thinking and thinking,
Uh-huh.
and that thinking, it gets darker and it's like a spiral.
Yeah.
So when they put cold water on their hands, the brain jumps out of the thinking and into sensation. So it stops it. It stops the spiral temporarily.
So you break the cycle.
Yes.
However, I have a problem. They're not even willing to spray water on their wrist. They're not. And that's a problem. You can have a lot of countermeasures, but they're not willing to do it. What are you going to do? They're not willing to get out of bed. They want to, but they can't. They want to get hungry, but say, I don't want to eat. I don't want to go to work. I want to talk to you. Get out of my room. What are you going to do? Yes, Daniel. Stretching? This guy has a lot of problems. Okay? Yes, there are a lot of things you can do. Okay? But it's not just depression here. Depression here, the reason is not, 3 here, sloth and torpor, is different from depression, is because depression is driven by a ghost. In our world, we recognize that you cede control to a ghost and whispers in your ear, don't get up, okay? This is no good, okay? Don't do anything. Be miserable, okay? Suffer. And you listen to it, you believe them, okay? And many married men know what I'm talking about when their wives tell them, hey, and they listen. No, it's a bad joke. Sorry. Okay. So this is what happened to depression, by the way. It's not them. And they prefer to cede control to the voices inside the head. Call it ghosts, it doesn't matter. You believe in ghosts or not, doesn't matter. But they listen to that voice inside of their head. It says, don't get up. Be miserable. Okay? Whereas sloth and torpor here is basically more like sleepiness, laziness, but it's really not depression. It's quite different. Because depression is much harder to handle than sloth and torpor. Okay? And sloth and torpor, in that case, then you spray your water, it works. You have much better chance to use the various things to wake up and snap out of it than it were the case for depressed people. Okay, there's a very big distinction there. Okay, there's lots of things you can do. You can have a cup of coffee Okay, you can have a monster drink, whatever. If you have some chemicals, things inside of your system, it will kickstart you and get you going. That's all it takes. Okay, the key here is to recognize that you're in a state of sloth and torpor, especially when you meditate. And you will do a Fo Chi or Chan Chi where you've been meditating for all day, and pretty soon, one of those moments you have this sense of sleepiness, sloth, and torpor. That's when you can do countermeasures. Okay? This state of sloth and torpor here is very conducive to, again, confusion, doing confused things, and sinking. You need to get out of it because you're sinking. Yes, yellow.
Master, is the sloth and torpor not caused by ghosts?
It's also caused by, in many cases, by a ghost. I hate to talk about this because, Daniel's here and Daniel doesn't believe in these things. Okay, yes, it's another form of ghost. It's not as severe as depression, much more manageable. Okay, they're not as harmful. That's a major difference. The ghost of sloth and torpor, doesn't mean to really harm you. Or depression is the depression side. They do things to bring you to harm yourself. The other side, sloth and torpor, is not their goal. That's why there's a difference, significant difference. Number 4, restlessness. Isn't that interesting? If you're restless, you cannot do good. So get out of it. Okay? Number 5, doubt. Believe it or not, doubt. You don't believe? You can't do good. Any questions about this? Doubt is one of the very difficult problems you're going to have. It's so deeply seated that even because of that deep-seated doubt, you're told to do good things, you're taught to do good things, but you cannot bring yourself to do it. Yes, yellow.
Master, is restlessness, is that like being anxious, or is it related to the manic, the bipolar? Is it what is restlessness?
Yeah, it's more anxiety. I would say anxiety, and you can't be still. You can't. You are jumpy, that kind of thing. How else would you describe restlessness? 道举. Okay? All right? Yes, DTT.
맞서 질문이 있는데요. 일단 첫째, 혼면계가 마스터께서 그 커피가 우울증에 안 좋다고 하셨는데 이 혼면계는 또 이 혼면계에서 깨어나기 위해서 커피는 괜찮다고 하신 게 맞는 건지 첫 번째 질문 드리고요.
Master, I have one question about the sloth and torpor.
Yes.
Did you say that coffee is okay to get rid of the sloth and torpor?
I also said monster drink. She didn't notice monster drink. She only heard coffee. Monster drink is even worse than coffee. My point is, yes, you're right. It's bad for you, but it's just jolt. Sometimes you need to shake someone up. for them to wake up. That's all.
네, 그다음에 두 번째 질문은 의심에 관한 건데 의심이 안 좋다. 불법을 수행하는 그러니까 전에 법문에서 마스터께서 의심이 불법을 수행하는 데 있어서 좋지 않다라고 하셨었어요. 네.
And second question is about the doubt. In your prior Dharma talks, you said that doubt is not good for your Buddha Dharma practices.
근데 이제 제 문제는 뭐냐면 의심이라는 것 자체가 전 나쁘다고 생각하지 않거든요. 의심이 있어야 사실은 선지식과 외도를 구분할 수 있고 의심 자체가 저는 나쁘다고 생각하지 않는 그런 제가 의심에 대한 기본적인 개념을 갖고 있는데 제가 이 의심을 어떻게 의심의 문제를 어떻게 해결할 수 있는지 질문드립니다.
But I have one problem with that. I think doubt is not that bad. If you have a doubt, then you can recognize who's the good knowing advisor and who's the externalist. So, what can I do with this?
그러니까 저 같은 경우는 계속 의심하라고 배웠거든요. 뭐 직장에서도 그렇고 저희 부모님께서 저의 가정 교육이 계속 의심하고 테스트를 해라, 검증해라라고 저는 교육받고 자라서 이 의심을 좀 해결하는 데 문제가 있는 것 같아요.
Because I grew up learning, people told me to doubt. From my work, from my parents, from my school, I learned I should doubt it and confirm it.
Sounds good to me. Continue to doubt. So what kind of doubt? What is this doubt we're talking about? She's right. I mean, doubt is healthy. No? Doubt is a healthy part of your psyche. Especially nowadays. I doubt that Teslas are good for the environment. It's reasonable. Yeah? Yeah. 10 years ago, you believe in all the crap that Elon Musk is selling, and now after 10 years, you realize it's not really solving any problems, and now he's switching to full self-driving, and switches to hydrogen technology now. Before he was making jokes about it. Okay, so you see, I told you already. So I had doubt to myself. Anyone who is a Elon fanboy? Okay, never mind. Okay, now he's following Trump, and so having doubt is a healthy part of life. Then what is the doubt here we're talking about? Doubt the Dharma? Okay, reasonable. What else? But what is the Dharma? Isn't it healthy to doubt, for example, a monk who stand there and say, Buddha says this and you do this, and you see that he's not doing what Buddha is saying. Isn't that a healthy doubt or not? See? So what kind of doubt are we talking about? Proper Dharma. Okay, don't doubt the proper Dharma. Fine. What else? Yes, Daniel. Don't doubt God. Okay, I give you that. See, now answer is this. I know it already. It's still very Catholic. Okay? So what kind of doubt is healthy? And what kind of doubt here is bad for you? You have part of the answer already. The answer is you should not doubt the proper Dharma, because the proper Dharma is your wisdom. You know that? The proper Dharma you're hearing is basically a reminder to your ears that that's what you really believe and think. It's only because it's too hot today that you know, the system is not fully functioning. But when you go back to your Buddha nature, you see that it agrees with the Mahayana teaching you're hearing. So that's correct. You should not doubt the Buddhist teachings, the Mahayana teachings. What else? What kind of other doubt would prevent you from giving rise to good dharmas? See, unless you ask me, I don't have time to go into everything. What we different is that, contrary to the traditional style of lectures in Buddhism, where we sit down here, we regurgitate all the principles, the 5 coverings. Number 1, greed, desire. Number 2, anger and hatred. Number 3, thought and torpor. Number 4, restlessness. Number 5, doubt. Next, 10 fetters. Okay, they are the affliction that bind. Therefore, you should be aware of these things. 1, no shame. 2, no remorse. 3, jealousy. And after 2 hours of this, you walk away and say, wow, Mahayana, so profound. And when your mom asks you, what did you learn today? Okay, you regurgitate the same thing. The mom asks you, I thought doubt is a good thing for me. Because that's what I taught your child. Our style of lecture is different because we're not dwelling on words. Okay? We're looking at how it applies to you, how you can use it in your life, whether it makes sense for you or not to use it. See different styles of the Asian style of Dharma talks, lectures, versus our style, where we discuss it, because it has to make sense to you. Is it clear? So that's why we're very slow. You know, some lectures we only dwell on one slide for 1 hour and a half, okay? Sometimes we even don't go like 1 slide, okay? Maybe we go 2 or 3 slides, sometimes we go 30 slides, it depends on whatever. But the point here is that we discuss the Dharma amongst ourselves and share experiences and share how it applies to us. Instead of hearing one word here, goes to our head, say, oh, I understand everything about Buddha Dharma. Because let me tell you, unless you ask these questions, you really don't understand what doubt really means, do you? I caught you. I said, I was about to move on to, from doubt, but you stopped me. I said, hey, wait a minute. It doesn't work for me. Yes, Red.
Dạ, thưa Thầy. Con giống như thường là con không biết có phải là mình bị nghi, giống như là hồi đó con học Phật Pháp hay là tất cả những cái việc gì của thế gian cũng vậy. Thường khi mà con nghe Phật dạy mà con chưa hiểu á, thì con không có nghi, nhưng mà con đợi một cái thời gian nào đó con học nữa thì con hiểu ra cái vấn đề đó. Rồi hay là cái việc ở đời cũng vậy, con không có muốn nghi một cái người nào hay nghi ai, tại vì con sợ cái đó mình nghi không đúng á. Thì con chỉ giống như là để đó, xong rồi mình để thời gian, xong bắt đầu mình để ý mình coi, xong rồi mình hiểu ra được cái điều đó, thì cái đó có phải là mình đang bị mắc trong cái nghi không Thầy?
Emitofuo Master is like me back in the day. Usually, when I first learning about Buddha Dharma and even the worldly things, when I hear what the Buddha teachings, even though I don't understand, I don't give rise to doubt, and I waited for quite a time, and later on I can learn more and I understand more. But even so, then even in real life with anybody, I try not to doubt them, and I just wait for a time until I can discover and truly understand about the problem. Is that where I stuck in the doubt, Master?
The doubt here is different from the doubt that you talk about for worldly people. Okay? For worldly people, you need to have doubt because it's your self-defense. You better have doubt. You better doubt people. You have better doubt in your daily life because that's how you're going to protect yourself. Okay? But when you learn the Dharma, to have doubt is not necessarily good for you. And there's a couple cases, different aspects of this doubt here that you should be careful about. We just talked about one. The Buddha's teaching, you should not have no doubt. If you go to a Hinayana text, okay, if there's a contradiction with the Hinayana text and Mahayana text, choose Mahayana. Okay, do not doubt Mahayana teachings. Hinayana, maybe. Hinayana is an expedient, therefore it may not work for you. Okay, but Mahayana is so vast, so profound that you're not supposed to understand it. If you think you listen to these words, greed and desire, anger, hatred, sloth and torpor, restlessness and doubt, you think you understand it, this is Buddhist teaching, I beg you to reconsider. It's a lot more than you think. It only comes to light when we discuss things. Okay? And which is not something most monks and nuns are prepared to do for you. Okay? My Chinese master is a Chinese person, and we talked about doubt and sloth and torpor to them. It's different to them, the Chinese people, than to us. All right? So that's why our discussions, no, you disagree? They're not different. See, the Chinese person, like this is a doubt. That's how they express their doubt. It's like there's something wrong in the neck. No, it's doubt. Yes, doubtful, none.
So how are they different? That's more my question. How is it different for Chinese?
The Chinese are, the greed and desire different from us. They're greedy for the yuan and the desire for material things. Here in the West, we are greedy for US dollars and we desire for America to be great again. It's totally different. No, what I meant by that is that he will not be able to interpret this from American perspectives. He can talk about this is how a Chinese person thinks, but it doesn't apply to us. We listen to it and I can't connect with this. You know? The Confucian society, we are Marxists. Republican, no, Democrat. I confuse all the time. Yes, sir. Yellow.
So, Master, if something makes sense to us, it's often used phrase you hear people say, I guess that could represent a glimmer of wisdom, and if so, you shouldn't doubt it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. But there are some hard and fast rules that I'm trying to point out to you. Yes, you have to use your judgment. You have some wisdom inside of you, so you can decide when some doubt is healthy and when it's not. That's all we have. We don't have all the answers. Okay? We don't pretend to have all the answers. Okay? And so So that's all I'm trying to point out to you today is that the two types of doubts that you try to avoid. That's all. And this is Mahayana. Number one is Mahayana teaching because it's the Buddha's teachings. We don't understand it. Honestly, it's so profound that there are lots of holes in our understanding. So for us to doubt it is unhealthy for us. Okay? Make no mistakes about it. Don't have any doubt. Like that Vietnam lady said earlier, she disagreed with something, okay? She says, I don't get this, let me shelve it, I come back to it. And she said later, she learned more, and they said, oh, now it makes sense. That's exactly what you should be doing instead of having doubts. Is that clear? Very helpful, okay? Don't say, I disagree with this doesn't make sense, this is nonsense, this is so Chinese, this is so, so Asian kind of thing. No, the Mahayana transcends ethnicity, transcends culture. Just because we don't get it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's very important, okay? Have no doubt about the Buddha's teachings, Mahayana texts. We don't get it, say we don't get it. Let's shelve it for now. Okay? Don't reject it. All right? What's the second type of doubt that's very bad for you to have?
Dạ, nghi giống như Tào Tháo ngày xưa là không có được, phải không thầy? Tại vì ông nói thà giết lầm còn hơn là để sống lầm á thầy.
Oh my God, this woman is violent.
Tào Tháo.
Yeah, she says that in the Chinese literature, there's a Cao Cao, okay? Tào Tháo, in Vietnam is Cao Cao. He's a Chinese general. He's Chinese prime minister in the history of China. And he says, I would rather kill by mistake than not kill at all. So when in doubt, kill. You'd never think she's that violent, Anyone? So yes, yellow. What is? So what is this one thing that you should avoid?
I believe doubt that leads to indecision probably isn't good.
No. Anyone else? You read.
Doubt the real good knowing advisor, the proper real good knowing advisor.
That's it's even more dangerous than doubting Mahayana. Why is it more dangerous? Yes, yellow.
Master, I was going to ask, is there coarse doubt and subtle forms of doubt?
Subtle forms of doubt? No, very simple. If you doubt a real good knowing advisor, okay, you're in big trouble. Why is that? It's even worse than doubting Mahayana. Believe it or not. Right.
Dạ, thưa thầy, con nghĩ là người thiện tri thức là một cái vị mà trực tiếp truyền bá cái giáo lý của Phật cho mình để cho mình thông hiểu, cho nên nếu mình nghi thì không có đúng.
This is what the translation. Go ahead. Well, Hung is preparing to translate. I'm just feeling the airwave, the airtime.
Master, I think that when we doubt the good knowing advisor, he is the person who directly transmit and teach the Buddha Dharma to us. If we doubt him, that is not right.
Okay, go first.
Hi, Master. I think it's because he's your source of proper Dharma.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. DTT.
Master Ji.
Come again. No? No DTT? Okay. We all know it's very simple, it's very, very straightforward to say that believe in Mahayana teachings. Anyone can agree with it, right? If it's Mahayana teachings, don't have to doubt it. Here's the problem. Mahayana teaching is so vast, we don't understand. And I've been saying this, but you don't seem to pay it, and you have forgotten already. It's so vast, like the big ocean. How are we going to find out which part is applicable to us? This is why the Buddha sent his disciples, the Bodhisattvas, to come here and explain the Mahayana to us. This is so fundamental in Mahayana. The Buddha knows that you don't get it, we don't get it. That's why we need someone else to interpret it for us. Listen carefully. They come here to interpret the Buddha's teaching, which part of it applies to us. And if you doubt that, then you're missing the boat. And the key word here is a real good knowing advisor. And this is why in Mahayana, we follow the good knowing advisor, which implies have no doubt. It does not have to make sense to you. Yes, Red.
Thank you, Master. Diego says, Emitofuo, Master, because the teaching is not fixed, and sometimes your good knowing advisor uses this expedient for teaching and transforming.
It's not possible to explain to use the teaching on all cases. For example, when the Buddha taught the Avatamsaka Sutra, it's for bodhisattvas only. So when we study the Avatamsaka Sutra, the language used there, the concepts used, are meant for the bodhisattvas, not for us. Therefore, you need a great teacher like Master YongHua who will say, okay, I understand it because it's for me, I understand it now. Let me explain it for you. Because the Buddha explained it to him, people like him. Then he said, okay, I got it. Now he says, let me explain it to you. You see that? There is a sequence for that to make sense to us. And if this is what happened to a lot of the Chinese. A lot of Chinese say Master YongHua is not famous monk. He's not a wise monk. He's poor, and he's really not accepted in most Buddhist associations. He's a threat to them, and therefore they have to do things to push him to the corner, to the margins, marginalize him. That's what happens. Otherwise, the rest of them cannot survive. That's Buddhism. That's how it is. Okay? Buddhism must be able to serve everyone, the lowly as well as the advanced. Okay? Master Hsuan doesn't feel threatened by the other monks and nuns, but the other monks and nuns feel threatened by him because he's explaining things that they don't understand themselves. And if their disciples listen to it, they come back and ask, hey, Master, what does it mean? And they won't be able to explain. And therefore, people like Master Hsuan must be marginalized so that he loses credibility so that the rest of the Sangha can survive. And that's important. That's part of the game. He doesn't have to serve these people here. Therefore, it's okay for these people to believe their own good knowing advisor, because they're being prepared to go to him later. Okay? But for you, I'm not talking about the other people here. I'm talking about you. Which kind of doubt is extremely unhelpful to you, unhealthy for you, is that when you doubt the real good knowing advisor like Master YongHua, whatever he says, don't doubt it. That is something you can count on. You cannot go wrong. Because if you do what he tells you, what he teaches in his texts, in his books, in his sutras and so forth, okay, you will be taught to do good. Absolutely. Even if you don't get it, you don't understand, you follow the instructions, you will do good. Don't need to doubt that. Even though it doesn't make sense to you, you do it, you see. I spent 11 years to experience that. I could not understand his teachings for 11 years, but I followed. I have no doubt. For some reason, I didn't understand most of it. 80% of it I didn't understand. But when it comes down to it, I still follow the instructions. And that's enabled me later to understand a lot more. Because the instructions from the good knowing advisor are designed to help you to do more good. And if you do that, your wisdom will unfold. It's not about whether you agree or understand. It's not that important. If you understand everything that he tells you, then your wisdom cannot increase. Please remember that. If you think you listen, you sit down and you listen to a Dharma talk and you understand everything, boy, are you in trouble. So therefore, the key here is to have no doubt on the real good knowing advisor. Okay? What is a real good knowing advisor? This is the next question, obvious question. There's a network of real good knowing advisors in the form of patriarchy. Patriarchs. There's a network of good knowing advisors. They're not the same caliber, but they are good knowing advisors. They're real. Okay? And why is that? Because you look at the history, the track record. I'm American. I look at track record. You can talk all you want. I ask you, what have you done? How many people have you saved? And what is the level of your disciples? That I ask all the time. I look at a monk, look at a nun, I said, so you're among the nuns. How many have you saved? Show me your disciple. Show me your best disciple. Let me take a look. You can't lie. In Buddhism, samadhi cannot be faked. You know that? There's one thing that in Buddhism, this is why the Koreans are very special group of people, because the real good Buddhists, Korean Buddhists, are the ones who are very sensitive to energy. Energy means samadhi. You Americans, you Westerners here in this country are dazzled by the gold and the lights and all the ornaments, okay? The Koreans too, but what they don't tell you is that they also sense your energy. Case in point, when the old abbot went to Asia on his field trips. Okay? We sent Zhongyin over. They said, wow, this is nice. Okay? They meditated with him, they practiced with him. They said, wow, this is nice. Huh? This is better. Yeah? When the old monk came back, they said, wow, this is much better. You can't fake it. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how big the temple is, how old you are, doesn't matter. And that samadhi thing there cannot be faked. If you pay attention, it's right there. You see, for example, the non-Buddhists, I don't want to name names, but they come to you and they do things to you. Especially they recite mantras and they do this and that to impress you and make you feel good and so forth. But that doesn't last. Okay? Is that one thing that they cannot fake is the peace and the bliss that you experience. It's not fear. You look at someone and say, oh, I'm so afraid of Master because Master somehow is so strong. No, it's not that. It's what differentiates between the teachers is the peace and the bliss that you experience in his or her presence. It's not the name. It's not the size of the temple, the number of disciples, the reputation. Is very personal. You sit down with him, you feel a difference right away because you feel more peaceful, more blissful. Because if he doesn't have it, how can he teach you to get it? If you want to become rich, I were to want to become rich, I follow a guy who's been rich already. I take courses from him, right? I'm not going to go to someone who has no proven track record. Same thing. The track record for the good advisors is the one I talked to you about, his level, his disciples' level, but you don't get that. But something that you will experience yourself is the peace and the bliss. That's the secret for the Koreans. See, they ran away already, the Koreans. They said, Master, don't reveal our secrets. The Korean Buddhists are very, very interesting. They're very sharp when it comes down to that. This is why our monks and nuns are doing well in Korea, even though they don't speak the language. The Koreans come to our temple, to sit down, meditate with us, and say, wow, I feel more peaceful than before. Korean people, what do you have to say? They're kind of very sleepy right now. They say, oh, this is too much. 3 or 4 in the morning. Okay? Because they're right. The Koreans are so smart. Okay? Peace and bliss is the key in Mahayana. Not name, not reputation, not gold, not statues, not temples, but your personal experience, not diploma, not certificates. It's when you go to the temple, when you do morning ceremony, when you do lunch ceremony, when you sit down, meditate with them, you recite mantras with them, is it more peaceful, more blissful for you or not? And you can see the differences between monks and nuns. And then you have wisdom. It's not for everyone, folks. But this is the one thing, one indicator you have, you can count on, is it's real, because it cannot be fabricated. There are plenty of monks and nuns who recite this, recite that to make you feel better and you feel happy inside, whatever. That's temporary. But they cannot fabricate peace and bliss. Okay? Next monk and nun, it should be more peaceful. And then, this is a better good no advisor. That's how we decide on who's real and not, and who's not real. We can't fake it. Yes, sir.
Master, I'd like to relate a short story that it fits exactly what you just said. The last time I was at DTT, I went on a hike with the Venerable Sianan, with the people we'd like to come there. And the next day, on the Sunday, I was so exhausted. I was completely drained going to, your lecture. And then I sat in your lecture, and I could feel my energy go up, 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 up. And I realized, I'm stealing his energy, but I didn't feel bad.
It's okay.
I was like, he has a lot, so whatever.
I was worried for a while. This guy's message is very convoluted. He says,
that's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, we stop here today. Thank you all.